Hello students, welcome to the last session of our July month in our current affairs series, monthly current affairs series, right? So this is the fifth session, and in our every fifth session we cover art and culture, defense, and the science and tech, right? So we start with science and technology, then art and culture, and we finish with the defense. Okay, so first starting with the science and technology, we have the first uh, fact, that is National Action Plan for Control and Eradication of the Glanders. So glandur, the disease is important. So glandur is a contagious and a fatal disease of equines, including the horses, donkeys, and mules. Humans can also get this disease. This is important. So humans are not um, immune from it. It is caused by a bacterium. So it's a bacterial disease. It's a bacterial disease, bacterium, Burkholderia malai. That's not important. Important for you that it's a bacterial disease, and no vaccine is available for this disease. And Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying has been coming up with this national action plan. Okay, so should you worry? So while humans, as I told you, can get this disease. So how they get this disease basically? So very commonly how we get the other disease. So bacteria can be transmitted to human on contact with the tissue or the body fluid of the infected animals. It may also be inhaled via the infected aerosol or the dust contaminated by the infected animal, right? And the symptoms are same, and prevention, as I told you, no vaccine is currently available for it. And the ministry's action plan to check the glanders disease. Okay, the equines are these, as I told you, equines, horse, pony, donkeys, and mules. Okay, next is colistin. Colistin is basically a antibiotic. It's a valuable last resort antibiotic. Okay, so the government has decided, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has issued an order prohibiting the manufacture, sale, and the distribution of colistin and its formulation for the food producing animals, poultry, aqua farming, and the animal feed supplements. Okay, so this particular antibiotic has been banned for these purposes. Okay, the move is to ensure that the arbitrary use of the colistin in the food industry, particularly as a growth supplement, is not there. Okay, and if this is reduced, then it would likely to reduce the antimicrobial resistance in the country. AMR is one of the great problems that the country is facing and will face in the coming future. Antimicrobial resistance. So the microbes in our body will be becoming resistant slowly and slowly to the high end antibiotics and high end medicines. So there will be no effect of those medicines on the on the microbial. So if you get ill, those medicine will not be able to treat you. You need some better medicine, right? So more research on that front is required. Okay, so and one of the source of the antimicrobial resistance is the from the animals itself. We get sometimes the animal product that we use, in if too much antibiotics are given to these animal itself, so it produces the antibiotics, antimicrobial resistance, and those also come in our body. Okay, so one of the source of the antimicrobial resistance is the coming from the animal side, and this colistin ban is a way to target that. How and why of the ban? So the same, it banned the use of the colistin formulation food producing animal, ban imposed under the Drug and the Cosmetic Acts 1940. Okay, next is Dowle Gravir pills. Dow, Dowle Gravir pills. Okay, so these pills are basically, these are called DTG pills. So WHO recommends the innovative HIV drugs as a first line and second line treatment for all population. So preferred treatment for HIV, and that's why drugs becomes relevant. The question can be asked, given by this pill, why they have been in news, right? So including pregnant women and those of the child-bearing potential, because they are the most vulnerable. This medicine can be given to them as well. So after coming up with so many trials, WTO finally recommended that this particular DTG, this is, as I told you, known as DTG, as a preferred HIV treatment of option of the all population. Next is leprosy. So it's also known as the Hansen disease. Okay, it's also known as the Hansen disease. So bacterial disease affects the skin and the nerves, lead to physical deformity and disability if left untreated. Okay, so this thing you need to know. Then it's not hereditary and completely curable, only mildly infectious. Okay, It is called by a Microbacterium leper, the name of the bacteria. It's highly contagious. Okay. Bacteria are a long incubation period. In fact, if you get infected by it, the symptoms man can show even after 20 years. You can show the first symptoms. So the bacteria takes a long incubation period that incubates in your body. Then it develops, and finally you get the disease symptoms. So National Health Mission targets aims to reduce the prevalence of the leprosy to less than 1 per 10,000 population. Okay, an incident to zero in all the district. Ayushman Bharat also targets leprosy in its health and wellness center. So Ayushman Bharat has two proponents. One is um, providing insurance, and second is the health and wellness center. So in the health and wellness center, they plan to screen all Indians for the leprosy. Okay. And in India, leprosy itself is causing a huge problem. India contributes 60% of the all new leprosy cases globally every year. Okay, and its current leprosy burden is 3.2 cases per million. It's a big number. So the steps we have taken not relevant from prelim perspective, but still we have taken some of the steps like right from 1955 National Leprosy Control Program. Okay, 2016 Special Leprosy Case Detection Campaign, and then finally the recent one Ayushman Bharat. Next is Mycobacterium indicus prani. Mycobacterium indicus prani. So indigenous vaccine for leprosy developed by the National Institute of Immunology, Delhi. So it's a vaccine developed by leprosy. So if the question comes, there is no vaccine of leprosy, answer will be wrong. There is a vaccine for the leprosy, a rare disease that we have seen, right? Glanders that does not have any vaccine. So because this year UPSC has asked question on hepatitis A, B, C, that is why you need to have the vaccine, need to know which disease has the vaccine, which disease does not have the vaccine. Okay, so introduced into National Leprosy Elimination Program, boost immune system against the bacterial disease. Okay, so again this National Leprosy Elimination Program, it's a centrally sponsored scheme under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Aim to eradicate leprosy from India and eliminate and all this case. Elimination is defined as less than 1 case per 10,000 population, the same as defined under the National Health Mission here. Okay. So a new leprosy vaccine, 50% of the, as I discussed, that new cases are getting into India, and that is why this vaccine becomes relevant. Next is measles rubella. It's a highly contagious viral disease, not bacterial disease, viral disease. Okay, by contact, how by contact with the infected person through coughing and sneezing. Everything spreads through coughing and sneezing, isn't it? A weak immune system. So what Mizela does is weakens the immune system and door to secondary health problems, exclusive human pathogens, and has no animal reservoir or vector. So this one is important. Okay, it has no human or animal reservoir or vectors. Rubella is also known as the German measles, generally a mild disease but can have serious consequences for pregnant women and their children, as it may cause congenital rubella syndrome in the fetus. Okay, so in India, 1/3 of the child born worldwide with congenital rubella syndrome. The measles can be early prevented through 2-dose vaccine. So there are vaccines for the measles rubella. Why in the news? The number of measles is increasing. Want WHO reported cases 300% in the first 3 months of 2019 as compared to the 2018. So the cases of the measles is increasing in this country, not in India per se. Okay. So similar to measles is very similar to rubella. Rubella also has to be German measles. Okay. So the same thing is written. Is a viral infection of the respiratory system, is a very contagious disease spread through contact with the infected mucus and saliva. Same with the rubella also. Okay, this is the same. They're talking about the measles rubella. Next is plastic crust. So plastic crust. What is plastic crust? From the name itself, plastic on the crust. So you can see plastic here on the shore side, plastic on these things. Okay. So researchers have noticed a new type of rock formation, a thin coat of plastic that is growing on the rocks at the shore. So something plastic growing on the rocks. So plastic crust, a new potential threat in the Anthropocene rocky shores. Okay. So because of the too much plastic pollution, we are witnessing this new kind of phenomena, plastic crust. Next is Gagan. very old, not a current affair, but always remains in the news. That is GPS aided geo augmented navigation, Gagan. It's a joint project between ISRO and the Airports Authority of India. The idea is to augment the GPS coverage. So basically, GPS will give us some location with 10 meter or 20 meter of the accuracy. However, if we augment it with the other systems, okay, then it gives us more accuracy, and that is used by the airports, right? So augment the DPS coverage of a particular region, improving the accuracy and the integrity, primarily for civil aviation application and better traffic management over the Indian airspace. We have done already that this system is being used now for the adapted to the railway needs also. Okay. So Gagan, GPS aided geo augmented, remember from AAI and ISRO, the combination of AAI and ISRO is there, right? So they use the GPS network along with the um, other systems so as to make the prediction and the make the measurement very precise. Okay. Next is for a safe and smoother flight. So the satellites and the GPS. Okay. Over 15 years, administered cost of 770 crores, right? Advantages, you need to know, you know all the advantages now, right? Next is blockchain. Really interesting. Blockchain is said to be the new frontier technology. It is said to be a solution to it is a solution to any problem. This blockchain is said to be a solution which is asking for problem. So if you have any problem, blockchain is able to solve that problem. It is said that it has such a revolutionary technology. So it's a foundational technology or a platform that allows the designing a secure way to record a transaction. How it records action, we will see in the next slide. But it's a very secure way to record a transaction and circulate it among the signatories or any kind of target group with the internet connection, right? At its core, it's an extremely democratic ledger that cannot be arbitrarily manipulated or easily shareable. Okay, it's extremely democratic ledger which cannot be manipulated, and that is why the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and all these are based upon the idea of blockchain. Just remember, Bitcoin is a different technology, different thing, and blockchain is the foundational technology on which the Bitcoin is based. Okay, it is not that the only the cryptocurrency has been banned in India. Recently Supreme Court revoked that also, but the blockchain is a very useful technology, in fact used by the Andhra Pradesh government, any other government, for land record management also. It has a very high potential in the land record management and so many other areas. So how basically blockchain is formed? So for example, you did a transaction, there is no centralized authority, so you did a transaction. Now someone requested a transaction, the request is transaction to is to broadcast to a P2P network consisting of computer known as nodes. So you have made a transaction, and your transaction is will be evaluated by the other P2P nodes. This is P2P network of nodes validates the transaction, and user status is using known algorithm. So your transaction will be verified by the other nodes. Then if once verified, the transaction is combined with the other transaction to create a new block or data for a ledger. So your new transaction that you have created, that new transaction will be added into the already long blockchain. And this is how the blockchain is done. The new block is then added to the existing blockchain in a way that is permanent and unalterable. Now this cannot be changed. So transaction is complete. Get it? Get the point? So you make a transaction and block is created. That block will be verified by other nodes, and other nodes will say okay fine, and then this based upon an algorithm, and finally your particular transaction will be added to the blockchain and it will become an permanent and unalterable. Okay, this verified transaction can involve, now as I told you, based upon this blockchain base, the other things such as cryptocurrency contract record can be done, right? It is based upon the idea of blockchain only. Next is Mosaic expedition. So multidisciplinary drifting observatory for study of Arctic climate. Mosaic is this. Okay. So multidisciplinary drifting observatory for the study of Arctic climate will be the first year round expedition into the central Arctic exploring the Arctic. So this will explore the Arctic, right? We have discussed Arctic Council, right? And Arctic is becoming a hot spot for the world. Why? The glaciers are melting, it is opening up new sea routes, it can be a site for the potential resource fight among the countries, and more importantly, the more the fight becomes, the more impact on the climate change. And also this is a good site for the our scientific exploration. So German research icebreaker Polstern will be the heart of the expedition. Okay, just remember that. So German Polster will be the heart of the expedition, and they will carried out this particular expedition, right? Next is Ragu, Ruygu. So it's a basically an asteroid. Okay, asteroid. So around 280 million is there. Asteroid exploring. The spacecraft Hayabusa was launched by Japan. So Japan in the 2014 has launched a spacecraft, that is Hayabusa spacecraft, to check this. You see a series of exploration carried out by the Japanese Space Agency probe that could reveal more about the origin of the life on Earth. So Ryugu is here. It's an asteroid, right? So the exploration of this asteroid can help us to get the more knowledge about the origin of the Earth itself. Okay, so Ryugu asteroid 300 million kilometers from the Earth. Okay, this is the distance, 280 million kilometer distance from the Earth. It's being less written here. So it's around 280 or 300 million distance from the Earth. Spherical shape, 900-meter in the diameter, and rotates every 7.5. Not too much important. So Rogiuf comes, it's an asteroid. So Hayabusa 2, the Japanese, not NASA, not India, not ESA, something like that. The question will be asked, then they will ask you around this only. Japan hai, or it's NASA's or ESA, right? Right. So in the July 2019 descents for the second touchdown to correct the sample blasted under surface on the April operation. Remember, all these operation, um, all these missions, they are always remain current affairs. Why? Because they will be doing, for example, you can see from December 2014, this must be in current affair, and it will remain in the current affair till late 2020, even after that. Why? Because it is doing something very significant. So it's, I'll consider it not in a very current affair part, rather a very static part. Okay. So in the July 19, the descents for the second touchdown to collect the sample blasted from the under the surface. Okay. And in the November December 2019, it is expected to depart the asteroid and late 2020 return Earth with the sample. Next is India's GPS, I'll say, that is IRNSS, and also named as Navik. So Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, IRNSS. Navik is the navigation with the Indian constellation. So what? A system based upon the 7 satellite in the geostationary and the geosynchronous orbit. Okay. With respect to these orbit, some of the students have told me that they are facing problems in getting to know about the orbits. They have some doubts on synchronous orbit, polar synchronous orbit, this geostationary orbit, geosynchronous orbit. So I'm thinking to take it up as a concept in the coming classes. Okay, so but remember for now that if you know it, that's really good. Go on the Google or YouTube, you'll find good videos. So benefit, it provides accurate positioning service covering a region extending 1.1500 kilometer beyond Indian borders with an accuracy of greater than 20 meter. Higher accuracy position available for the security agencies, right? In 2016, the system was named as Navik, that is navigation with Indian const, constellation, not constellation, constellation. So India's own GPS. So 7 satellite, out of the 3 are geostationary. This is 3 geostationary, right? And there are 4 geosynchronous, right? So there are 4 geosynchronous satellite. Orbit altitude will be 36,000 kilometers. So it will provide 2 type of service. One will be the standard positioning service meant for all users, and second will be restricted service, encrypted device only for the authorized user, military and security agency, and it will be more accurate, obviously. One more important thing is recently the Xiaomi has signed a pact with the ISRO that they will set up their phones, now coming new phones, not now but later on, new phones will be having not GPS, but they will have the Navik in it. Okay. Next is Chang E4 mission. So Chang E4 mission, from the name itself you can see, you can guess that's from the China. Okay, Chang E4 mission. It's a fourth mission in the country's lunar mission series, which is being named after Chinese moon goddess. Okay, Chinese moon goddess. It's a first probe ever to explore the dark side of the moon. Okay, in the South Pole, that is Attican Basin. Question can come from the this Attican Basin. Okay, so that's a south dark side of the moon. So touch down at the targeted area near the moon's south pole in the warm Kármán crater. The question, if the science and technology question comes, it will be really very shallow. If the question comes on a concept like geostationary, geosynchronous, tough question you can expect. Otherwise, if the question comes on Atkin Basin or the question comes on Von Karman crater, where are these? They are on Mars, they are found on Jupiter. No, they are on the moon itself, right? Moon becomes relevant for this year because of the Chandrayaan mission, right? And so the UPSC may not directly ask you about Chandrayaan mission. They can ask you about the missions, different missions related to the moon. Okay, it's especially the ones which are currently going on. So China's mission to the moon. Okay, Chang 4 spacecraft will take off from this particular launch center. Okay, so rover they will be there, lander will be there. Just like India Chandrayaan 2 also had these rover and landers. We'll cover Chandrayaan 2 in detail, different aspects of it, where what was the objective, and from the print perspective only, why it failed and all these things not very important, but what were the objectives, Vikram lander, and what where it was supposed to land, how it was supposed to help the whole space industry, because many of the agencies around the world have an eye on it. So coming to the next fact, that is plunet. Planets. So that's a new class of the celestial objects called planets, are the orphan moons that have escaped the bonds of their parent planet and start orbiting their star instead. Okay, that is planet. New class of the celestial objects called planet are the orphan moons that have escaped the bonds of their parent planet and start orbiting their star instead. So how planet are formed? So basically it's an exoplanet outside the solar system with exomoon. Now exoplanet migrates closer. Now the exoplanet, as it's closer, it exchanges the angular momentum with an exomoon. So there is exchange of the angular momentum with this, and this exomoon leaves its planet's orbit to come in the other orbit. And sometime it also happens that exomoon can end up directly orbiting the star, becoming a planet. Okay, so planet is new class of celestial object called planet, which is orphan moons that have escaped the bond of their parent and start orbiting the star instead. So for example, for India, for Earth, there is a moon, right? So in the later on, if it becomes Earth and the moon, they both started revolving around the sun, then it will be known as the planet, right? Easy. Next is Tiangong 2. So Tiangong 2 is the space station of China. Just for information, if the question comes, Tiangong 2 is in the news. That is because India is now developing its own space station. So Tiangong 2 becomes relevant. That's a Chinese efforts for the being a space station. Next is Spectre RG. Spectre RG. So a Russian launched all sky survey satellite. Okay, joint project between the Russian and the German, aim to conduct the first all sky survey with an imaging telescope. Okay, so they want to have a survey of the sky with the imaging telescope. So mission Spectre RG is a joint German observatory class mission. It's intended to study the interplanetary magnetic field, galaxy, and black hole. More importantly, there is a name you need to remember: Rosita. 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 Built by the Max Planck Institute for Terrestrial Physics. So it will be the payload which will do this thing. Okay. So it will study the, just one second, it will study the interplanetary magnetic field, galaxy, and the black holes, right? Next is OSMART, Ocean Service Technology Observation Resource Modeling and Science, OSMART, by Ministry of Earth Science. Ocean Service Technology Service and Resource Modeling and Science to aim to get more disaster warning systems along the Indian coast. New system will keep an eye on the tsunami and the storm surges. So this is an initiative, OSMART. So key missions under the OSMART, under the mission OSMARTs, what we'll be doing is strengthening the ocean observation modeling and all these things. This is important. Setting up an ocean thermal conservation plant in the Kavarati in the Lakshadweep. Okay. So potential fishing zones, ocean state forecast, early warning, special service for the Indian Navy and the Coast Guard. Just need to remember that. Next is Jatan. So software for digitalization of archaeological museums. Digitalization of the archaeological museums, right? Who has created a human-centered design and computing group has developed the Jatan. So Jatan is a software for the digitalization of the archaeological museum. You can see Jatan software, virtual museum builder. Okay, so you can make your own museum here, right? Like Age of Empires, this is a game, right? Very famous. Last fact of the science and tech is GAFA tax. Really important. The question itself can come, GAFA tax in the news. GAFA is related to. So recently France has implemented a tax on the large technological company, and the more company will follow the suit. France has implemented the tax on the large technological company with the large global revenue called GAFA, that is global Google, Apple, Facebook and Amazon. Okay, so the tax on these companies, because many of times these companies evade some taxes, a lot of taxation issues are there, right? And that is why and sometimes they are said to be impinging upon the sovereignty of the country as well, whether it be the data storing and many things. So the France government has said that we will impose some tax on it, and this tax is known as the GAFA tax. Okay, so this is the end of our first section, that is science and technology. Now we'll be starting with our art and culture discussion. The first fact we're going to see in art and culture is Ashadhi Bij Festival. Now, you know that many of the festivals that you may not cover in your static portion, but they are relevant from the current affair portion. We also did some of the festivals in the last time. We have some of them this session also. So, Ashtadhi Bij Festival, so it's celebrated for arrival of rain by the Kutchi community in the Kutch region of Gujarat. Okay. So, Kutchi New Year celebrated every second day of Shukla Paksha. Here, this one second. Yes, every second day of the Shukla Paksh. So that's an Hindi calendar. So this Hindi New Year is observed with the Kutch region of Gujarat. Ashtabij is the most traditional affair and is celebration of the rains. Ashtabij is the auspicious day for farming communities celebrated in North India, especially in Gujarat, UP and other places, right? So just remember that's more towards the rain year, right? Arrival of the rain in the Kutch community. Next is Karachi festival. Karachi festival is in the Tripura. So Chaturdash Dev Mandir, Old Agartala, so celebrated to worship the 14 gods and the Mother Earth. Perform to wash out the sins to clean the post-menstrual phase of the Mother Earth's menstruation. So you can see related to the Ambubachi festival. We last time we did Ambubachi festival in Kamakhya temple. So now this temple, this within Karachi festival is performed to wash out the sins and clean the post-menstrual phase of the Mother Earth menstruation, right? So animal sacrifice important part of the ritual. So this is in the Tripura it is being celebrated. Annual Karachi Puja festival meant to cleanse the sins of the mortal soul. Originally Hindu tribe festival is now observed by all communities and of all the region. Okay, mainly in the Tripura. Century-old Karachi Puja begins in Tripura. Okay, Tripura Chief Minister has inaugurated it. Next is Pukche festival. Pukche festival. So Pukche festival is celebrated at the Dalai Lama's birthday. Okay, the region will be Ladakh. So the problem is the Chinese will be upset, right? When we celebrate this festival, when the Indians will celebrate this festival, the officials say no attempt to intrude or violate the sanctity of LAC. Pukche festival organized on Dalai Lama's festival is a regular feature in Ladakh. And obviously some problem with the LAC will be there, right? Whenever some Dalai Lama issue comes in, they become really sensitive, Chinese. Next is Tulani festival. Tulani festival is the Sumi tribe in the Naga. Okay, Sumi tribe. So the tribes we are discussing the tribes in the lecture 1, right? So if the question comes also, just if you're making a list of the tribes, you can make the list, take the list from the art and culture portion as well. Okay, so in the Nagaland they celebrate this festival. So a festival of feast and merrymaking to make the mark of the dry season, end of the dry season and beginning of the new fruits, known as the Tulani festival in Nagaland, is celebrated different clans of Sumi tribe across the state on 8th July. Okay, so Sumi community and the celebrating the Tulani festival. Next is Vachua, Vanchua festival, Vanchua festival. So you can see the women rice. So they are putting down the rice. So it's in Assam. It's a harvest festival celebrated by Tiva tribes. So which tribe we have seen earlier? That is the Sumi tribe. So here it is a Tiva tribe, Tiva tribe, Taiva tribe or Tiva tribe. You can call it anything. Okay, so Tiva tribe with vibrant Vanchua festival. So the women, we know the rice grain by hand, and the men then ceremonially pound the rice into powder in the large wooden mortar. Okay, so men and women both crush the rice. Next is Adi Mahotsav. So Adi Mahotsav is celebrated, it's a, not a festival per se, but it's a joint initiative of the Ministry of Tribal Affairs and the TriFed. Ministry of Tribal Affairs and the TriFed, that is Tribal Cooperative Marketing Federation of India. We also discussed TriFed, in fact, important agency. So theme is celebration of the spirit of tribal craft, culture and commerce. Tribal, Adi Mahotsav. So tribal connection. Okay. It will comprise of the display and the sale of the items of the tribal art and craft, tribal medicine, healers and tribal cuisines. So Adi Mahotsav, right, in the Delhi or in the other places. You can see Om Birla and other ministers for the enjoying the Adi Mahotsav. Displaying the Adi, the Tribes India. We have discussed Tribes India, brand chain of Tribes India, TriFed by the Tribes India, and they present this particular festival. Artisans showcase product at Adi Mahotsav exhibition, right? Next is Navroz. So Navroz is an Iranian New Year. Navroz is an Iranian New Year. It is a part of India's intangible list of the cultural heritage. India's part of the intangible list of the cultural heritage. Okay. So celebrating Navroz. Navroz is a 3000-year-old Zoroastrian tradition, start of the spring and the Persian year, Persian New Year. Okay. So basically, you don't have to remember a lot of things. So they make something like this. Okay. So they make food like this, and it's a basically a Zoroastrian year. That's what you need to remember. That signal the start of the spring and the Persian New Year, and that's it. It's a part of the India's intangible World Heritage sites. Next is Meso. Now that we are coming we'll be reading some GI tags. Okay, geographical indicators. So GI tag from Meso Punche. Meso Punche. So it's from the Mizoram. Got GI tag. You can see. So colorful Meso shawl. So this shawl is this Meso Punche. Color shawl textile is an important marriage outfit in the state. So on the day of marriage, they wear this. Okay, so three basically we'll be reading Meso's Punche we have seen, Meso's Punche, one more Meso's Tall Hope Puran and Kerala's Tirul Beetle. Apart from other, and Tamil Nadu's Palani Panchamritam Prasadam received the GI tag under the DIPP, DPIIT, right? The name is changed, Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Okay, so Mizoram's Talhopuram, we'll see these. Mizoram Punchai we have already done. Kerala's Tirul Beetle and Tamil Nadu's Panchmritam Prasadam. Okay, so then next is Twalho Puran. Just one second. So Twalho Puran and the Mizoram got GI tags. What this? You can see this. Medium to heavy, compactly woven, good quality fabric from Mizoram. So it's a fabric from Mizoram. Just remember that was a shawl used in the marriage time, right? And this is the medium to heavy, compact woven, good quality fabric from Mizoram, known for the wrapping and weaving and integrated designs that are made by the hand. Okay. Next is Palani Pancha Britam. So it's a Tamil Nadu, got GI tag. First time a temple prasadam from Tamil Nadu got the GI tag. Palani Panchamritam. So it consists of the banana, cow ghee, cardamom, jaggery, and honey. Okay. First time a temple prasadam got a GI tag. Next is Tirur. So Tirur is a beetle leaf in Kerala. got GI tag, valued for its mild stimulant action and medicinal properties, unique for the significantly high content of chlorophyll and protein in the fresh leaves, commonly used for making pan masala for chewing. Okay, eugenol is the major essential oil in the ititur beet leaf, contributing to its pungency. Right? And that is why it's been given a GI tag. So Tirul beet, also known as Tirur pan, is the most popular and traditionally tasty betel leaves in the state. It is very popular in the various South Asian countries, including Pakistan, for its distinct flavor. Next, on the same thing, next is Koda Palli twice. Itself is a GI tag, but it's an old GI tag. But why it is there? Because sometime it was mentioned in the newspaper. That is why I've just covered it. So what are the cultural icons of the Andhra Pradesh? So basically, if you see the picture, these very beautiful, isn't it? But no more joy for those who make Andhra's famous Kodapalli toys. Okay, because many of time the same story. The creators are neglected. They are not getting the proper money and all these things. Really beautiful toys. Right? So details. The wood that is malleable and can be easily chiseled into desired shape gives the toy their unique character. So this is the wood, that is Tela puniki wood. Okay, and from this Tela puniki wood, which is malleable, very less we have seen the wood which is malleable. If you put it, it will take the shape of something else. Very less we have seen with the wood, right? So Tela punaki wood is malleable. So if you put a hammer to it, you can get the desired shape, and they make such a beautiful toys. Next is Sangeet Natak Academy. So some institutions, first National Academy of the Arts set up by Government of India in 1952. It is registered as a society under the Society Registration Act of 1986. It's an apex body for performing acts, forms of the music, dance and drama. Collaborates with the international organizations like UNESCO to save the cultural heritage of the country. Okay. Awards it gives, that is Fellowship of Academy, Ustad Bismillah Khan Puraskar, not too much important. From this perspective, what is important? Sangeet Natak Academy, it's a society, it's not an statutory body, an apex body for performing arts. Okay, and collaborates with international. These 3 points are important: this point, and this point. That's it, nothing else. Okay, so Sangeet Natak Academy awardees their musical journey, and that is why it's on news. That is why we have covered Sangeet Natak Academy itself. Next is 2019 is the United Nations International Year for Indigenous Languages. So Papua New Guinea, tell me the location of Papua New Guinea in the comments. Where is the location of this particular country? Has given the highest number of living indigenous languages in the world, while India stands fourth at the 453. Okay, the highest number of indigenous languages. According to UNESCO's Atlas of the World Language in Danger, 228 languages have been extinct since 1950. Since 1950, around 228 languages have gone extinct. In India, 5 languages have become extinct in 1950, by 42 are critically endangered. Just like we have animals critically endangered, we also have languages which are critically endangered. You see, vulnerable, definite endangered, severely endangered, and critically endangered. So UNESCO classifies the characterize the language based upon this. Before that, there is a scheme, protection and the preservation of endangered language of India, and that the scheme is also there. Okay, so India has more endangered language than any other country, right? So it's a protection, preservation, and documentation of all the mother tongues and languages of the India is spoken by less than 10,000 people. This figure you need to remember. Less than 10,000 people will be scoring, and this will be the endangered language. Okay, so dialect covered under this dialects are also covered under this program, implemented by Mysore based Central Institution of Indian Language, Central Institution of Indian Language, CIIL. Okay, so preservation in the, so if they talk about the endangered language list, so Andaman Nicobar, obviously, like Great Andaman, Java, very less people are remaining. We'll read about them also. Manipur, Himachal Pradesh, Odisha, Karnataka, and so many of them. Every state we have some endangered languages. So UNESCO and this particular institute keep that in mind. Okay. Next is Virasat-e-Khana Museum. So it's located in the Punjab. Virasat-e-Khana. Why in the news? It will be in the Asia Book for Record for the most visited museum in Indian subcontinent on a single day. Most visited museum in the Indian subcontinent on a single day is history to build the commemorate the rich history of culture of Punjab and Sikhism, inaugurated in 2011. Virasat-e-Khana in museum in Punjab set the record in the Food Hall, find the place in the Asia Book of Records for becoming the most visited museum in the Asian subcontinent on a single day. Okay, it's situated under Punjab's Anandpur Sahib town, right? Next is Bahrain Temple Project. So location of Bahrain, Bahrain I told you, that is the Pearl of Persia, also known as the. So the temple name is Shri Nathji Temple. Shri Nathji Temple. So $4.2 million will be spent between India and Bahrain. It's a 200-year-old temple, amongst the old temple in the region, and manifests the strong ties between India and the Bahrain. Right. So Mr. Modi has went to Bahrain. In fact, a very significant trip to Bahrain. Okay, so he went to the temple. He launches 4.2 million redevelopment project for the iconic Hindu temple in Bahrain. Okay, Lord Krishna temple in Manama, strong ties between India and the Bahrain. Okay, so we have done our culture portion. Now we'll be entering into our last domain, that is defense. First fact we're going to see in defense is actually two important act amendments have been passed. Two important acts, that is UAPA Prevention Act 1916 and NIA Amendment Act. So first UAPA, that is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. So it aims at the effective prevention of the unlawful activities across India and abroad. Its main objective was to provide powers to the central agencies and state to deal with the terrorist activities. It is applicable across the entire nation. So facts wise, it is important. You need to know with respect to facts what are the amendments have taken place, more importantly. Okay, just to before the amendments, any Indian and the foreign citizen charged under UAPA is liable for punishment under this act, irrespective of the location of the crime and then the offense committed. UAPA will be applicable to the offenders in the same manner, even if crime is committed in a foreign land outside India. The provision of the act apply also to Indian citizen and abroad person on the ships, aircraft registered in India, wherever they may be, and also under the ambit of the act. Remember, so it's not only in India but also in abroad also this act has the jurisdiction. Okay, with respect to terrorist activities. So recent amendment that have been brought and that are really important. Okay, first is expand the scope of the terror entities. Earlier the government can only put the some terrorist organizations into the terrorist category and crack down on those. So what they used to do, for example, these are the leaders and this is the core, right? In my internal security lecture I explain in this way. So for example, government has cracked down on this organization name is O1, right? So this is the whole organization. Now the government is cracked down on, declared them as a terrorist entity. Now what happens, for example, they gone to the jail, but this core shift to the another core and they form a new, some leadership comes from here, they form a new leader and it becomes an O2 and it starts doing the same thing. So what now government is doing, government is targeting the whole organization, not only organization but also the people inside it, right? So that now individual will also be designated as the terrorist, and so that this phenomena does not happen, right? However, there's a catch. There can be the human rights group says the government can use its discretion and can selectively target few people, and that is where this act gives a huge responsibility to the government to use it if sensitively. Next is approval for the seizure of property. So earlier the approval for the seizure of the property of the terrorist, earlier the permission of the DGP was needed. Now permission of DGP is not needed. Approval of the Director General of NIA is needed. If the investigation is carried by an officer of the NIA, very easy. If the officer of NIA is conducting an investigation, then it only the approval of the DG of NIA will be required. That will smoothen out the that seizure wala part. Right? Within the agency, coordination will be needed, not across the agency. Next, the empowerment of NIA itself. Remember, empowerment of NIA is a part of UAPA Amendment Act, not NIA Amendment Act. NIA Amendment Act, after this we will see. So, empowerment of NIA, it empowers the officers of NIA of the rank of inspector on the above to investigate the cases. So now the officers of the NIA can investigate the cases. Before that, uh, before that, investigation can only be done by the terrorist cases can only be done by the officers above than ACP. ACP rank of plus officers can only do. Now the officials from the inspector level at the NIA can do this. Next, in the schedule, it is a schedule which is mentioned in the act. So if the someone must commit a crime, for example, there is international treaties. There are 9 international treaties mentioned in the schedule of this particular act. So if someone commits an act against the provisions of this treaty, he will be considered terrorist and will be brought under this UAPA. They have added one more. So addition of International Convention of Suppression of the Act of Nuclear Terrorism. So an act of nuclear terrorism they have added. Okay, so nuclear terrorism has been added. This particular convention has been added to the schedule of UAPA. These are the 4 main amendments that have been carried out. Now the question on UAPA and NIA amendment has already been asked in the last mains, right? So if any question, that can only be asked on the prelim perspective and only from the amendment area, right? Next is NIA. NIA question can be asked. So NIA 2008 governs the functioning of the India's premier counter-terror agency brought in the wake of 26/11 Mumbai terrorist attack. Okay, 26/11 Mumbai terrorist attack. NIA has the power to take the suo motu cognizance of the terrorist activity in any part of the India and to register a case to enter any state without needing a permission from its government and to investigate and arrest people. So after 26/11 attack in Mumbai 2008, too many, as I told you, NatGrid also last time. So NatGrid also brought in after this, right? So many changes have been brought at the institutional change and also at the agency level, intelligence level. So this is an institutional change that has been brought about. Now the amendments, key amendments in the NIA Act. So there are basically 3 key amendments. First, enhances the scope of the offences. So NIA now can consider the offences which will be mentioned in the schedule, which are mentioned in the schedule of the act. Now they have enhanced the scope of the offense, that is Atomic Energy Act and the Unlawful Prevention of Activities Act. Next, enhances the jurisdiction of NIA, as the officers of the NIA will have the power to investigate the scheduled offenses committed outside India also. Scheduled offenses committed outside India subject to the international treaty and the domestic law of the other country. If they allow it, they can also prosecute outside, because many a time it happens that they go out of India and our NIA's jurisdiction stops there. So the amendment provides them more teeth to NIA. So NIA Act allows central government to constitute special courts for the trial of the scheduled offences. We'll see here. So additional provision for the special court. So NIA Act allows the central government to constitute the special courts for the trial of the scheduled offences. Now, central government may designate a session court. May designate a session court as the session courts as a special court for the trial of the scheduled offences, but in the consultation with the Chief Justice of High Court under which the session court is functioning. So session court can be transformed to the special courts, right, for the trial of the scheduled offences. When more than one special court has been designated for the area, senior most judge will distribute the cases among the courts, right? If there is one plus court is there. In fact, this information is not really important. This one also, just finish it. Further, state government may also designate session court as special court for the trial of the scheduled offence. So the central government can also do it and state government can also do it, right? If they ask a tough question, then the questions can be on these lines. So remember, central government and the state government both have the authority to make a session court into a special court. Session court you need to cover from your polity static portion, right? So, but however, in the consultation of the Chief Justice of High Court, under whom that particular session court is coming. Now we'll discuss INS Virat, INS Vikrant and INS Vikramaditya. So first is INS Virat. So INS Virat was a decommissioned 2 years ago. It was the aircraft carrier commissioned in 1987 and it went for a long time. 2017 it has been decommissioned. So INS Virat, Navy's grand old lady to go under the hammer. Okay, so this is INS Virat. INS Virat. Okay, such a huge, you can see helicopter, these are the helicopters which are landing on this, right? Aircraft carrier, that is why the name aircraft carrier. So this is the current aircraft carrier of India, INS Vikramaditya, really beautiful, so big, INS Vikramaditya. Now these two, INS Vikramaditya, we have taken from the, with the combination of the Russia. For example, earlier it was working with Russia, so it is commissioned in 2016 in Russia, and on 14 June 2014, Prime Minister of India formally inducted INS Vikramaditya into Indian Navy and dedicated to the nation. So we did not have a indigenous made aircraft carrier. Now INS Vikrant is the India's first aircraft carrier. Okay, so INS Vikrant will be our first indigenous aircraft carrier, right? So Vikrant, so it's still there, you can see the range, but it is not yet inducted into an Indian Navy. It's still in the trial phase and all these phases. So Vikrant means being courageous. The motto of the ship is Jayamasam Yuddhi Spardha, which is taken from Rig Veda, which can be translated to I defeat those who fight against me. So INS Vikrant, right? Under construction by the Kochi shipyard in Kerala. Okay. INS Vikrant. So remember, Virat 2017 already decommissioned. Um, After Virat came Vikramaditya, currently working. After Vikramaditya will come Vikrant. Okay, so don't get confused. They can ask you in the timeline also. Okay, so India's first indigenous aircraft Vikrant likely to be commissioned by early 2021. Earlier phase of the construction of Vikrant under process, which starts setting of the work of machinery equipment like power generation, propulsion, and all these. Okay, and commission will be done by 2021. Next is Raksha Gyan Shakti mission. So Raksha Gyan Shakti mission, so launched by Defense Ministry to promote the self-reliance in the intellectual property rights in the defense. Raksha means defense, Gyan Shakti means IPR. So focusing on IPR generation in the defense. The whole idea is that defense manufacturing is really poor in India. For example, we have seen, right, so many things we take up from the different country. If you see missiles, many of the missiles we see, we have taken, we'll see some missiles today also that we take from Israel, from US, from Russia. So IPR generation is really important. In fact, in the IPR policy 2016, it is being targeted that will focus on the defense to improve our capabilities, right? Our IPR, our innovation capabilities in the defense. Under this mission, the target of the year this year was to train 10,000 personnel undertaking on the IPR and facilitate filing of at least 1,000 new IPR applications. Okay, so integrating India's defense with the IPR mission Gyan Shakti. Tagline is intellectual property for self-reliance in the defense. So defense minister launches mission Gyan Shakti, right? Next is Operation Sudarshan. So Operation Sudarshan is taken up by Border Security Force. It has launched a massive exercise cooperation Sudarshan, okay, to fortify anti-infiltration grid along the Pakistan border in the Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so to fortify the anti-infiltration grid along the Pakistan border in the Punjab and the Jammu and Kashmir. So BSF launches Operation Sudarshan to fortify Pakistan border in the Jammu and Kashmir. I repeat it again, we started with the same idea, right? Pictorial presentation of our fact, so as the cramming becomes easy. Next is OS index. So you can see India and Australia. So bilateral naval exercise, okay, between Australia and India, biennial. So twice, no, 2 years, once in a 2 year. I think in one of the video I have said it wrong. Biannually means twice in 1 year, means every 6 months, and biennial means every 2 years. Okay, biannual and biennial. Next is India Space X. So from India Space X, exercise space and India. So Indian Armed Force are all set to conduct the country's first ever simulated space warfare exercise. That is Ind Space X. Okay, space warfare exercise. India to carry on its first ever space war exercise in the July. Okay. Next is C-17 aircraft to be sold in India made by USA. So Boeing C-17, that is C-17 Globemaster 3, the okay, aircraft to board is strategic airlifting capability, okay. A massive sturdy long haul aircraft can carry large competent equipment, troops and the humanitarian across the distance in the all the weather condition. We have had so many operations, right? Operation uh, operations like in the Sudan, operations we have done in Libya to get our people out of there, right? Operation Airlift, something like that. So for that we have procured this C-17 massive long haul military transport aircraft, okay. Next is Spike missile. Spike missile, Indian Army places an order for Israel anti-tank Spike missile. These missiles have capability to fire, observe, update, fire and forget, and as well as allowing attack of the hidden targets. Really utilitarian missile. So recently this missile has been used. Indian Army source army troops recently used anti-tank guided missiles and artillery cells to target the Pakistani army position across the Kupura sector. It is response to the frequent ceasefire violation. So we have used this particular missiles. Still we are using it, made from the Israel. Next, INS Sagar Dhwani. INS Sagar Dhwani. Okay, so it's a marine acoustic research ship of the Naval Physical and Oceanographic Laboratory. Marine acoustic research ship, INS Sagar Dhwani. So flagged off for the scientific venture in the North Indian Ocean. INS Sagar Dhwani embarks on the mission Sagar Dhwani. Okay. So basically Sagar Dhwani, what they are doing, they are completing a Sagar Maitri mission. Sagar Maitri mission. So first we'll see a unique initiative of DRDO. First of all, initiative of the DRDO, not Ministry of Earth Science, remember, which aligns with the broader objective of Prime Ministers. We have done Sagar, that is safety and growth of all in the region, to promote the closer cooperation of the socio-economic aspect as well as greater scientific interaction, especially in the ocean research among the Indian Ocean Rim Association countries, IOR region. And under the aegis of PM policies, specific scientific component of the DRDOs is MATRI, that is Marine and Allied Interdisciplinary Training and the Research Initiative. Okay, so Sagar Matri. Sagar is safety and the growth of all in the region. Matri is marine and the marine and allied interdisciplinary training and research initiative. So done by the INS Sagar Dhwani, an oceanographic research vessel for the DRDO, embarked upon the 2-month Sagar Matri mission 2 from Southern Naval Command in the Kochi. Okay. So, okay, so it commemorates, is basically commemorates a golden jubilee celebration of India's lone research ship INS Krishna, INS Kistna, okay, mission as a part of the historic international Indian Ocean expedition, which took place from 1962 to 1965. So after 50 years, we are doing this Sagar Maitri mission. As a part of the mission, Sagar Dhwani will revisit the selected tracks of the INS Krishna and provide the scientists ample opportunities to collaborate and garner a close working relationship with the oceanographic counterparts from the IOR countries. Okay, so the people from those countries will come, our scientists will come, so that will provide an opportunity for the sharing of knowledge and the cooperation. So the primary objective of the Sagar Maitri mission is the data collection from the entire North Indian Ocean. North Indian, remember, not Arctic, North Indian Ocean, focusing on the Andaman Sea and the adjoining sea, establish long-term collaboration with the 8 IOR country in the field of ocean research and development. This is a potential question, right? Next is WannaCry and not Petya. So Petya, we must have heard of it. There is the one brother of Petya, that is not Petya. Okay. So both of them are global ransomware. So ransomware was WannaCry was ransomware and Petya was the ransomware. Not Petya is a different malware. We'll see. So NotPetya is a new breed of malware. A malware attacks like NotPetya grow more and more sophisticated. How can you ensure the business and data are safe? So we'll see. So first, the difference between NotPetya and Petya. So first of all, untold story of NotPetya, the most devastating cyber attack in the history. Now it is said. So NotPetya spreads on its own. So the original Petya required victim to download it from the spam email. So what was Petya basically? What is basically ransomware? So you have some file disguised as something important. You'll download it or you use it, you click on it, so the application downloads in your system, then everything goes blank. You say you pay some sort of money, currently paid in the cons from the bitcoins, you pay some bitcoins and then you get the system in your control. Okay, so that is how it's been ransomware. Now what Petya used to do, Petya required a victim. It requires my attention, me to download it. However, NotPetya exploits the different methods to spread without the human intervention. The original infector vector appears to be via backdoor planted, right? So NotPetya used a variety of techniques to spread to the other computers. So it is self-executing. First nature is this. Okay. Next is, so NotPetya encrypts everything. Okay, it encrypts everything. NotPetya malware goes beyond the original Petya tricks of encrypting the master vote record and going after a number of the files to destroy the. It seriously screw up your hard drive. So it covers up almost everything. Petya can be selective, but NotPetya targets the hard drive. It destroys the system. NotPetya isn't a ransomware. If you see here, NotPetya is not a ransomware. It is in fact the most shocking and the most important thing about NotPetya. It looks like a ransomware, complete with a screen informing the victim that they can decrypt their file if they send bitcoins to the specific wallet. For Petya, the screen includes an identifying that they are supposed to send along the ransom. Okay, but non-Petya, the number is just randomly generated and would be of no help in identifying anything. It turns out the process of encrypting data, not Petya, damages it beyond repair. So the whole point of not, if you're not getting this point, the whole point of non-Petya is, it is sort of a ransomware only, but it destroyed the system. That is the point. Petya, you get the money, you get the system back. But non-Petya, they destroy the system. So you can get the point. It is it is a tool for the cyber warfare to destroy the other person. For example, one country, Russia on Ukraine, it is alleged that Russia has used non-Petya on the Ukraine, right? So it is seen that so Russia does not want ransom from Ukraine, right? If they do, then they can be identified, but they want to destroy their system. So for destroying, they use non-Petya. So that's why more, it is said to be the most devastating cyber attack in the history. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So this is the WannaCry decrypt. So oops, your file have been encrypted. Now you send your, how I can recover my file. Go to this and go to this. You have only payment in this thing. You can pay in the Bitcoin only. This is the screenshot, and they say also this is the time left. Your file will be lost on this, right? So next is two years after WannaCry. WannaCry is not an current phenomena. In fact, WannaCry has been the old phenomena. So 2 years after WannaCry, a million computer remains at risk. The threat posed by the leaked NSA tools remains a concern. So WannaCry, Petya. So abhi remember, the non-Petya can come in the news, because Petya is too much in new. Non-Petya sometimes we tend to forget, right? So we have done the science and tech, we have covered the art and culture and the defense. So with this, we completed our 4 months current affair finally. So July month is starting from October, November month, then June month, and July month is over. So in the July, the first session, second session, third, fourth, and fifth session we already did. So around 16 videos, 16 plus video you already have on YouTube. Um, my suggestion will be, watch the video once, download the PPTs, download the PDF, now also available on the PDF, the standalone PDF. So it's a package, as I told you. So utilize all the three parts of the package and improve your current affair situation, right? Preparation itself. Okay, see you in the next class when we'll start our August session. That will be our halfway. When we'll finish August, we'll be at our halfway. From August itself, I'll be trying to come up with some concepts, and I'll complement this current affair series with the impetus series, where I'll try to cover some other things, right? Okay, thank you. See you in the next class.